Audiotree lovers, it's me, Psalm 1, global hip-hop treasure and certified Michelin-starred yapper, back with another session, and today is Sunday, February 2nd, 2025. Honestly, y'all, we have so much love for all of our subscribers, but if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you go do that, press that button so we can be one big happy family. And you know, we've had plenty of legends grace our studio, but none of them are Mike Dawes. He is a stunning acoustic guitar player pushing the boundaries of innovation with his jaw-dropping fingerstyle technique, percussive playing, and seamless blend of melody and rhythm. To me, music equals science equals art, and this artist encompasses it all. So ladies, and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Dawes.
There was one wrong note, but it's really easy to fix. Really easy to fix. I'll tell you later, but I think that was fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We wouldn't have known it if you hadn't.
Cool. Sorry about the whole setup thing. It's just kind of necessary. No one wants to see my pants fall down.
Hey everybody, I consider myself an extremely smart person, but there's something that confuses me a lot over here at Audiotree. 88% of our viewership is not subscribed to the channel, and that's like crazy to me. So I need a favor from you. If you watch the videos and you love the videos and you're not subscribed, please, it's a free and simple way to support the channel. Just hit that subscribe button. And when you do that, we promise you that we will continue to build this channel out, bring you the best bands, listen to your feedback, honestly, bring the bands that you want to see more here at Audiotree. So make sure you sub up and we can continue to make this the best music channel on YouTube. We are here with the incredible Mike Dawes, and we just heard The Impossible. Mike,
Hey.
how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so exciting to be here at Audiotree in Chicago. Woo!
We love having you here, man.
Oh, bless.
You've been named Best Acoustic Guitarist in the World twice.
Yeah, by my mom, both times.
Your mom? Yeah. I, too, have a bit of an accolade I want you to be aware of on my shirt. So, yeah, we're all winners here today.
Absolutely.
You know? Your performances feel incredibly dynamic. And I've seen you perform on, like, mountaintops before.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing stuff. But how do you approach translating these intricate pieces from the studio to the stage?
It's really interesting. So a lot of people seem to associate the fact that I have a giant ego pedal board with me, that there's all this kind of gadgetry going on, which I guess there is for the live shows, but every tune is always written on my couch, you know, on the guitar. And so it's very, very natural. You know, when I record in the studio, it is just me playing the guitar. You know, we might add some effects and things later, but it all really is the fingers, you know. And this is something that I think guitar gear people, perhaps watching, might suffer from. You know, gear acquisition syndrome or GAS. You know, you don't need loads of stuff to play if you just write from the fingers, from the heart to the hands to the guitar, and then out to the people. So translating it live is pretty straightforward. Just do the same thing on stage, but with a few more dad jokes.
Is there a piece of gear you can't live without these days, even though you suffer from gas?
Yeah, thank you very much. There actually is. So, speaking of writing on my couch, I do plug into something. It's called the Tonewood amp. It's this really cool device that was made by a husband and wife out on the West Coast. And what it is I have these magnets in my guitar, and this thing sticks to the back of the guitar, and through witchcraft and wizardry, it vibrates the back of the guitar and makes like reverb come out of the sound hole. So it's like you're plugged in to a beautiful reverb anywhere in your house. So I can be in the bathroom. I don't know why I'd be playing guitar in the bathroom, but I could be, and it would sound amazing, or in the bedroom, or in the studio, or wherever. So when I am writing, I stick that on the guitar, and it's like, it helps me with inspiration, you know. And they just released the Tonewood Amp 2, which is, I think, out now, which is like an upgrade. So yeah, shout out to those guys. Love the small businesses. Love to support my people.
Absolutely. How old were you when you became obsessed with playing?
You know what's funny? So I wish I had a story that was like, the guitar came to me in a dream and it was my calling. So my family moved around a bit at that kind of, you know, early teens, kind of 10, 11 years old kind of thing. And when I moved to a new school, I wanted to fit in. And I was a bit of a socially awkward kid, you know. I was really good at yo-yoing, which is probably a sign of a socially awkward kid. But I decided that the cool kid in class was a guitar player. And I was like, well, if I can be in a band with the cool kid, then maybe I can fit in, right? So I begged, stealed, and borrowed, and begged my parents to get a little Telecaster for my birthday when I was 12. And of course, the guitar is a more difficult instrument than something like a piano, because, you know, a piano, you touch one thing and it makes a sound. But the guitar is like this thing where you have to have both hands do a thing together. It hurts. It's tough to play at first. But when I first got that first kind of like, you know, little like vibrato, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever, you know? So I was just like, I got to learn Green Day's discography, and then I was hooked.
You're also a music educator. I think it's kind of
shreducator.
Shreducator. Yeah, I love that. It's kind of a natural progression if you're just like amazing at what you do. I want to know though, who's easier to teach, kids or adults?
Adults, if they have the correct attitude. So something I've noticed is that I used to teach guitar before I started touring and kind of making my music, and I used to teach at a school where it was young kids to begin with, and then it would get older and older as the day went on, because it started at 3 p.m., ended at 9, kids got off school, adults got off work, etc. And there was this attitude with adults that like, oh, it's too late for me to learn an instrument. And there's an element of truth in that, in the more responsibilities you have that take you away from your instrument, your bills. You know, everyone knows when they're a teenager, you can just play for 9 hours a day, right? But the attitude is everything. And nowadays, I think with content online and access to resources and great shreducational material, anyone can start whenever. And as a result, I'm now seeing like older people picking things up quicker. Whereas younger people just have a lot more distractions than when I was growing up. I mean, when I was into guitar, that was it. But
Yeah.
if I was doing it now, I'd be like playing those weird little phone games, and I wouldn't be able to, like, So I think, different eras, different distractions, but it's all about attitude, and the access to material is just like amazing. Like this stuff, access to these kind of videos online just didn't exist when I was growing up.
True. I am an 80s baby, so I definitely know about like
Fantastic.
finding something and
Yeah.
then just like laser focusing on it. You're currently on the road, and I just saw that you were in Germany.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've been everywhere. It's crazy, right? So I travel a lot in the States, a lot in Germany, Netherlands, kind of Austria kind of countries, UK tour coming up. But it's a really wonderful gig. This guitar has brought me so many opportunities because, when you're not traveling with a full band, with a drum kit and production and all this stuff that you guys have in here, it must be a dream for you guys today, just coming in with one guitar and plugging it in, right? You get to go to more unusual places like Bermuda or Kenya or Iceland or places that are or Alaska, for example. So few US bands tour Alaska because it's just such a pain to get there with all the gear. But I could fly straight in and walked out the airport, it was minus 50 degrees and my nose hair froze. So, those experiences are
Beautiful
precious.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, do you consider yourself a one-man band?
I mean, it's a one-man show. I think to call myself a one-man band is disrespectful to bands who can do so much more than I can. But it's definitely a one-man show. Although I'm actually very grateful that on the road with me right now is Justin Hayward from the Moody Blues' guitar tech. Josh Johnson, who's a wicked player, so I get him up to play on a song or two during the show, so that's fun. It's nice to have some company on stage.
Sure. Shout out to Josh.
Yeah, shout out to Josh.
You're from Bristol.
I am.
In the UK, and I love that place.
Trip Hop Central.
I played a venue called The Fleece there.
Oh, I know The Fleece? That's crazy. That's super close to where I live.
I loved it so much. Next time I play The Fleece, I'm coming over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. New place to crash, or, just give me a guest list ticket and a drink ticket. I'll be there.
Listen, I will hold you to that. What's your favorite thing to show out-of-town friends when you're back home?
Wow. So, I mean, there's a lot of architecture in Bristol, but the music scene is really everything. So drum and bass kind of came from there, right? And obviously you got the big trip hop stuff of the 90s, Massive Attack, Portishead, stuff like that. But something that's Wallace and Gromit, right? There's little Gromits all over the city, which is cool. But something that's really cool that I found out recently is Darth Vader, the actual guy who played Darth Vader, not James Earl Jones who voiced Darth Vader, but the actual guy, a guy called David Prowse, I think. He was a bouncer at a club down my street back in the day, and just that fact alone is just kind of hilarious. Can you imagine like getting kicked out of a club by Darth Vader? Like,
No.
just like grabbing you by the throat and
Yeah.
but with a sort of West Country farmer's accent. It's hilarious to me. But best thing about the UK, I will say, is pub quizzes. When I'm home, that's all I like to do. I go to my local pub quiz on a Monday night, trivia, all that stuff. It's a traditional pastime for us English folk.
Not a bad way to spend a night.
Absolutely. Get a massive Yorkshire pudding and a roast dinner thrown in. I miss that when I'm on the road for sure.
You have these incredible micro techniques within your fingerstyle that you employ. And what kind of training and or insurance do you put your hands
I can't afford
through for this?
insurance. Yeah.
Kind of like Tina Turner, like insuring her legs back in the
That's
day?
funny. It would probably be wise to do so, but especially my nails. In fact, I was just saying, like, I had 2 shows last night, so I kind of cut one of my nails a little off. But yeah, I mean, the technique-y thing, it kind of all comes from being inspired by players that have come before me and an amalgamation of influences. Some shout-outs that I would love to share is, the late, great Michael Hedges was a guitar pioneer from the US. I never got to see him or meet him because he passed away before I got into the guitar when I was very young. He's kind of credited with doing a lot more with a steel string acoustic back in the kind of new age kind of scene. But then there's, my absolute, Australian uncle almost, Tommy Emmanuel, who is basically the greatest guitar player of all time as far as I'm concerned. To see his show is a spiritual experience, not just for his playing and his technique, but his soul. And I'm very fortunate that I get to go out on the road and open up for him and jam with him at the end of the shows. So we're going to go off to Europe after this run, and I think we'll be hitting the Baltic countries later this year together, which will be cool. Nice. Another shout out, someone who doesn't get enough credit, is a guy from Finland called Petteri Sariola. He is just my guitar hero, and more people in the US need to know about him.
Well, I'm glad you shouted him out because I was going to ask as a goated guitarist, like who do you look up to? So
Goated.
thank you. Yeah.
Bloated, more like, after the bagel I just had from the deli. I look up to Petri, man. I look up to Tommy. I look up to a lot of my friends are electric guitar players. You know, I was just talking with Austin over here behind the camera. We have a lot of mutual respect for a lot of metal musicians. Could you tell? You know, the band Periphery, my buddy Pliny, a lot of players in that kind of world. I was just hanging with an amazing new guitar player at the NAMM show called Spiro Dusias. You're right. It's just insane.
Austin's going crazy right now, just so you know.
This guy, I mean, the way he picks is just kind of super revolutionary. He picks incredibly light and incredibly fast. And, you know, I want to learn it. You know, like I said, it's never too late, right? Even if I'm a little older now. But it's amazing to see players like that kind of just to keep pushing the instrument and doing it in a musical way as well, like making amazing music. It's very easy to play a million notes. It's even easier to edit yourself playing a million notes. But there's just a real beauty in the younger generation coming through and just writing an amazingly inspiring music and just continuing to blow people's minds, like Austin when I mentioned Spiro, you know. So shout out to Spiro. He's one of a kind for sure.
Shout out. Galactic Acid. I love this cover art.
Yeah, it's awesome, right?
Can you give me a little bit more about what you were going for on this one? Because I have an idea. But
Okay. So if you can analyze that cover, I started writing this album. This is my new album, Galactic Acid. The first song, Cloudcatcher, that I played is from that record. It's the opening track. It was a labor of love. I started writing it in Kenya in 2019, and then there was a writing period in COVID and a writing period afterwards. And the whole thing, you know, as a touring musician that does like hundreds of shows a year, you know, I do like 250 shows a year sometimes. Obviously, the COVID thing stopped everything in its tracks, and it really was a big life adjustment for a touring musician, right? And all the inspiration on the guitar just went away. So I didn't play guitar for 8 months, maybe a year. The whole of 2020, I just didn't touch a single guitar at all because I was just really bummed out, you know. It was a crazy time. In England, you know, we couldn't go out the house more than like 20 minutes a day for a time. And I just moved into a new place, so I didn't have any furniture or any internet or anything. It was just, the timing was weird. So the anechoic chamber represents the silence and the lack of inspiration. And what I found was going back and listening to old records kind of gave me that zest for inspiration and creativity. And I think that's true of anyone, really. I don't know if you've ever been in a bad mood, but just put on a record that you listened to growing up and just started dancing around the kitchen. But that's me, in my house, alone, sometimes just in my pants, right?
We're the same.
That's underwear for the Americans, okay? Yeah. So the retro 70s TVs represent the old record collection, and the crazy space jellyfish coming out of it represents finding that spark again, I guess. That's kind of what it's about. And the songs kind of go in that sequence with some arrangements of some of my favorite old songs as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful album.
Thank you.
So let's just kind of get back into the music.
Right on.
Because I know we can just talk forever.
We can. I'd love to talk. I love talking. It's great. vibey one.
Yeah, it is.
That's like a vibey, a sexy, reverberant, vibey mess. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. All right, let's go old school. Thank you for having me, Audiotree. Audiotree.
Sometimes I just want to say like, yay, you did that. A massive thank you to Mike Dawes for joining us today. And as always, major love to our camera ops, engineers, dogs, editors, and artists here at Audiotree, spreading the gospel of live music. Mike will be touring the globe throughout 2025 in support of the new album Galactic Acid, so please get tickets when he's in your area. Also, get into his prolific work, instructional videos, amazing albums. Just treat yourself. And like I always say, likes are good, but subscribing to Audiotree means you get these videos at the top of your feed as soon as they drop. Get cool merch at audiotree.shop. And finally, follow Audiotree on social media for more fun content. This is Psalm 1 signing off. And remember, y'all, stay dangerous and drive safe. All right? Peace.